Tying up a real simple wet fly today from Ray Bergman's book Trout. This is called the Loyal Sock. Don't know the history behind this. It doesn't have any in the book other than it's just the flies mentioned, and the recipe is there. There is a Loyal Sock creek or river. I think it's a river in northeast Pennsylvania, which is a popular trout stream, and I don't know if this was named after that creek, if it was a fly that was tied and popular there, so they gave it that name, or if it has any association with that creek or river at all. But this is the Loyal Sock. Very simple floss body, a matched wing, and a black throat on that, but a nice, straightforward, simple wet fly. That's the Loyal Sock. I'll get started tying. So I'm going to start the Loyal Sock with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 in a size 6, just a standard wet fly hook. I'm going to go ahead and debarb that hook, and I'm going to attach my thread. The Loyal Sock has a pale yellow floss body to it. I'm going to start with a white thread. This is a Danville 70 denier in white. I'm going to attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook and advance my thread down to just the point of the hook. Now for the body, there is no tag or tip on this, no tail, no rib. It's just the pale yellow body. I'm using a 54DS brand. This is a silk floss. It's the only pale yellow that I have, so I'm using that. This is pretty much just a single strand. I think if you look at it closely, there's a couple strands that are kind of twisted together there. But I treat it just like a single strand. For this size hook, I want to I'm going to double this over a couple of times so I have 4 strands when I tie this in. And when I apply the body, I'm only going to use 3 strands, and I'll show you why in just a second. I go ahead and advance my thread down to the end of the shank, and then start bringing my thread forward. I'm going to trim this the length of the body. On my thread, I'm going to advance my thread forward to the end of the body to where I can apply that floss. I'm only going to use 3 strands because 1 strand of floss is going to be brought over kind of the back of this as a security bit, because this floss, whether it's silk or whether it's a rayon or other types of floss, when you have them right down near the bend here, if you just start to wrap those in, they have a tendency to start creeping down the bend and potentially even start to come unraveled because tension is lost on them. So if you leave 1 strand out the back, you can then use that strand as kind of a security measure to hold all of those in place in the very back. Often this is done when you have, say, a floss tip on a fly. I'm going to try and get one that one appears to be a little higher in the pecking order there. Careful with this silk floss. It really grabs any hangnails on your hands if your hands are a little bit rough. I just want to try and get one of these that's not quite on top of the others. It's down near the bottom. There you go. So now I'll apply that floss, just those 3 strands. floss secured. I'm going to take that remaining strand of floss, like I said, I'm just going to fold it right up over the front here, and that gets tied in right along the back as just a security measure. Now, granted, if that floss gets broken in the course of fishing this fly, then yes, the back can become unraveled. My fingers are just grabbing this stuff left and right today. I'm going to advance my thread forward. In terms of that security strand, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, if you don't like the look of it or whatever, but this is more for fishing. So I have found that if I don't have that in there, the slightest little touch on the back here, even if you're tying this to your leader or whatever, or you start to fish it, the slightest little thing is going to get that floss to start going down that bend. Now, there's only two other materials in the loyal sock, and that's a black throat and a black wing. So I'm going to change over to my Danville 70 denier in black. Will be my finishing thread. As I mentioned, the loyal sock, just a really straightforward, simple wet fly. If you're wanting to get into wet flies, there's a lot of them out there that are simple and straightforward. If you're wanting to get into those with matched wings, this one would be a nice one to start because it just has a simple body, simple throat, and very simple wing. The throat is just some black hackle. I'm using some black Shlappen for this. I'm going to, where these barbs are nice and wide down at the bottom, I'm going to get some nice and perpendicular to the rachis, and I'm going to peel those off. I'm going to kind of flatten those out a little bit. I don't necessarily want to clump them together. You could, it's not really going to hurt things, but I'm just going to flatten that out, and that's going to be one side. And you also don't have to do your throats this way. You can just tie and get one large clump, roll it together, and then tie that in. I think it works just as well in terms of a fishing fly. But for this one, I'm going to put the two sides together here and trying to get those tips evened up. I've got a few barbs that have moved around on me. Once I get those more or less matched up here, I'm going to hold this up under here. I want the tips just back about to the barb inside the throat of the hook. I'm going to secure those on the underside. Gives you a nice kind of spread out throat on this. You don't have to do it that way. You could actually even do a collar if you don't like messing with throats on these little wet flies, then go ahead and do a collar in there. With my thread in position at the rear portion of the head, now I'll put in the wing. And this is just a black matched wing. I'm using some turkey for this. I've got my slips already cut, so I'm going to peel one off for one side. The other feather here I'll lay on top. Peel that off. I want my tips even first, and then I will take a look. I have one side wider than the other. So now the one on your side is a little bit wider. I will use my bodkin, peel out those extra barbs. You want the wing to be about, I don't like them quite a gap width. I usually go less, maybe 3/4 of the gap of the hook. You're going to tie that in so the tips go just past the bend of the hook a little bit. Holding those in place, a little pinch and loop. Get those secured. Few wraps. We'll take a look. The wings should sit right on the top of the hook shank. Sometimes maybe the bottom portion comes over to the side just a little bit. You don't want them wrapping down around the bottom. Generally, if you hold those nice and secure with your hands here, and the hook, and you can roll your fingers forward a little bit to do that pinch and loop, but make certain back here you're holding the hook and the wing nice and firm in position, then you don't have a problem. I'm going to trim away the excess on the wing. Now I'm going to bring my thread down to the eye of the hook, start wrapping in the head, advancing rearward. This will cover up bind in all of those butt ends of that wing, covering everything up. Now I'll flatten my thread and put my whip finish in. A little bit of head cement. I'll come back with a couple coats of a clear lacquer and then a top coat of black lacquer. And the loyal sock will be done. So this first application of cement is just some Fly Tight. It is a alcohol-based head cement. I like it because it's thin. It soaks right into those thread wraps, helps binding all those together. We'll come back and put our clear lacquer on there for a base and our black lacquer to gloss that up. And that will be it for the loyal sock. Fun little fly, very basic. Another fly from Ray Bergman's Trout. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.